Hello and welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. All this month, we're focusing on seasonal businesses.
Owning and running a seasonal business can be time-consuming and stressful. So I spent some time with Dr. Joe Bucci, a professor at Regent University. We talked about what entrepreneurs can do to keep from burning out.
So Joe, I own a seasonal business or a business in general. How do I make sure that I don't burn out with all the work for those couple of months on the business to ramping up, to then going through the business, to ramping down? How do I make sure that I don't burn out?
There's a lot of things to consider in running a business. We were talking off camera about rhythm, and everyone has their own rhythm. Some people are very high paced. The classic entrepreneur is that person who's running constantly. Entrepreneurs tend to be very technical people, and they want things a certain way. They can certainly influence other people in a negative way if they don't learn how to balance out their own personality type with the needs that they have to fill in their leadership group with people who think differently and act differently than them. That can certainly help with balance and burnout. You can push, prod, get through a season. You know, we've got to get this product in the box. We've got this big customer. We stay late, push really hard. We're successful that first time. If we have to do that every time to accomplish that goal, that is going to burn people out. So it's thinking about, how can I do that so I'm effective? I can reproduce that effort, but I'm effective in doing it because I'm not killing people. And some of that's going to, maybe stepping back from it. I think if in the Creativity Inc., the book by the Pixar folks, they talk about some of their experiences, and they say, wow, we got this done, but it was such a hard thing that we did. So let's debrief. You know, in the military, I think they call it a hot wash. Let's go back and let's look at how we got this done, and what do we want to do differently if this happens again.
Is it easy to debrief afterwards though? So if a season's 3 months long, of which 1 month is ramping up and ramping down, I can't remember what I did yesterday. So could someone be taking notes or maybe recording everything? Is that like, if the goal is to be effective and efficient, I then need to know what I'm doing at every step of the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait until 3 months were over. I think you need to have those inflection points built into that season. But again, that's where the thought comes in before the season starts. What kind of challenges are we going to face? At what point, let's say we bring a staff in. So we're doing a seasonal business. It's a summer business on the beach, running a little amusement section. We train them up. We go through a run through, then we debrief. We sit down, okay, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? What can we fix? We got our first set of customers on so first is Memorial Day, right? So then we debrief that. Hey, how did we do? I think it's important to do that. You wouldn't want to wait till the season was over. That would be more difficult. Although you can do a broader debrief of the whole experience and look at, again, looking at your employees. Who do we want to keep? Who do we want to invest in going forward? Sure.
How can someone understand that they're not being effective? So if I'm watching the show and I'm saying, but I think, you know, working 18 hours, we talked to Damon John a few weeks ago. He says, I work 19 hours a day. To the normal person, that would be crazy. Right. How can you look at yourself and analyze and say, this isn't working, or this is working and then I should? How can you kind of look at that and figure out what is and what isn't working?
You need to be surrounded by people who can help you with that, right? You know, Damon John runs his, you know, and runs and doesn't stop. Not everyone around him can do that. He can't expect everyone around him to do that. So maybe people acknowledge, okay, you can do that, but I can't. You as an entrepreneur have to respect the fact that not everybody has that passion or can commit that much emotional energy towards something. And emotion is like, you know, it's a reservoir. As you fill up with it and you burn it out, what replaces it? So what do you yourself do to replace that? Knowing how other people are motivated around you. There's a lot to this, right? Surrounding yourself with people who see things differently, knowing what motivates you, knowing that when you're tapped out, how do I refill? Having people who can offset your peak times or your down times. There's a lot of thought that needs to go into that. I think you're really effective when, again, you step back and look at that business model and say, if it's going to be a model, if it's going to be a process-driven approach, we're working on our business, as Gerber says, and not just doing tasks, then we're looking at, well, what do I need? What kind of complementary skill sets do I need in that business in order for it to run efficiently the entire time, whether it's seasonal or whether it's all year?
Great.
Coming up, we'll introduce you to some local members of the Inc. 5000, owners of the fastest growing companies in the country. Plus, are you a slave to your smartphone? We'll have an app that will help you cut the time you spend staring at a screen.
Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Recently, several Hampton Roads entrepreneurs were named to the Inc. 5000, meaning they own some of the fastest growing companies in the country.
I had the opportunity to speak with two of these recipients. First up is Matt Saunders of Simple Real Estate Solutions. He explains why a great idea doesn't always translate to a great business. Here now with Matt Saunders with Simple Real Estate Solutions in Virginia Beach. We've been talking about your entrepreneurial journey,
Yes.
starting since college, and you've had different businesses since then. How did you come up with your current business, which is a real estate company?
Okay, it's a long story. I'm going to keep it like this short, just so that I don't bore the people watching. But in 2003, I had a fax broadcast advertising company, and the federal whatever federal agency basically said you can't do that. And so I had 12 employees. I had to let them go very quickly and basically close the company. So that was 10 years into my first business. That business had been around 10 years. And at the time, there was a guy I knew who was an advertiser who had started flipping houses. And he's like, it's so easy, just read these books. So I went and bought the books, like 3 books, tore them up real quick,
Right.
made a plan, and did it. And
it was as easy as that.
It is. And when I say it is, what I mean is when we get into business, here's how I do business. Seriously, I go buy some books, I tear them up, like not read them from page 1 to page 365. Just, okay, what do I need? Make notes, figure it out so my mind can get wrapped around what is important in that business. And then I make an action plan. And then I just do the actions, then make a new action plan, do them, and that's it.
Well, I wanted to just kind of hone in on one of your points, is that it's simple, like you were saying. The steps to success are simple. It's the execution that is difficult. And are you seeing that when you talk to entrepreneurs these days?
I love what you just said, okay? Because people are like, oh, I have an idea. I'm like, that in a quarter will not even buy you a cup of coffee. It is execution. I will take an average business with an excellent execution any day over a great idea with a lousy execution. Let's say Starbucks. They're a coffee shop. That's their idea, okay? How many, they execute it in a way that works. And when you really look at any business that makes money, yeah, the idea is important. It's the execution in terms of how you actually make money. So I cannot agree with you more. And there's a lot of sayings, but I always like that 4 Ps. Prior, it's probably 5 Ps. Prior proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. That's probably like 9. I don't even know my math, but it's still working. And it's
too.
really true. You prepare in a prior way, and then you execute it. Mm-hmm. And entrepreneurs, we want to just shoot, aim, instead of aim and shoot, because it's fun to just go out enthusiastically. But the discipline to just stay back and go, no, I'm going to think, no matter how painful it is, on paper, figure out a plan, then run that plan. It pays dividends that are, in my opinion, the difference between businesses kind of like muddling through and businesses that are making gains all the time. Mm-hmm. I feel and I believe that thinking is the highest paid activity in the world, and not like, I'm talking about hard thinking. How am I going to get over these hurdles, and writing out ideas? And that's my opinion.
You've given some great words of wisdom for entrepreneurs out there? The mindset and the focus is critical. Any last words you would share to them?
God, there's a lot, but I'm going to keep it kind of short. I think keeping a positive mental attitude by feeding your eyes and ears with things that are encouraging is key, because you're on your own. And there's going to be a lot of obstacles. And if you look at them like, ugh, it's just going to shut you down. And right along with that, have a goal that's big enough and out there far enough to get over those obstacles. Because if you're just in it to make a buck for the next month, those obstacles are too big. But if you're out there like, this is where it's going to be, and this is where I'm going to be in this time, well, then they're bumps, they're not mountains. Set goals in writing with action plans. So keep a positive mental attitude, set goals, and put the actions behind them, and then just get busy doing it.
Get to work.
Yeah.
Matt, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Working with a spouse can pose some unique challenges. Coming up, one local couple shares their secret to a happy business and a happy marriage. Next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly.
Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We are here with Sam and Adriana Weatherly, the founders of Maker Industries and also the Maker Max 3D printer. Let's get to a hard question first. You guys are also married. A lot of people would say that people that are married should never start a business. How did you guys decide that it was okay to start a business while being married?
I don't know if we decided it was okay. It just kind of happened. The marriage came first many years ago, and we've always been entrepreneurs and always started little businesses and developed companies and things like that. And the Maker Industries and Maker Max were something that opportunity presented itself with her brother as a co-founder and partner, and we've been building ever since then. And now it's definitely a major part of our lives. So
you started the business as an educational opportunity for people to learn more about how to use the 3D printer world, or a 3D printer, and then you saw that maybe you guys can manufacture your own boxes.
Right.
You guys have been fairly successful on Kickstarter. You raised $60,000 or so to do that. Right. Why did you guys decide to go down the Kickstarter route? What were some of the biggest challenges with doing that project?
Well, when we made the choice to go down the Kickstarter route, there was a lot of 3D printers hitting the Kickstarter platform that were doing well, and it was a good opportunity to launch a product into a techie environment where a lot of people are looking for 3D printers or advancing technologies. So it was an easy way to get our product out onto the market.
What is a 3D printer? For someone that's watching has no idea what we're talking about, what is a 3D printer?
He calls it a hot glue machine. That's how he explains what it is.
When I explain the process, right, I tell people it's like a really smart hot glue gun. So it takes plastic filament that looks like weed whacker string, and it feeds it into a hot tip and melts it, and it melts layers one layer at a time, and additively manufactures any three-dimensional object.
What type of things have you guys seen 3D printed?
Oh, we've seen a lot of different things. The industry is growing very fast. Everything from basic plastic pieces and STEM education tools for kids to houses and chocolates.
A house, like a real house. Someone is living in a 3D printed house.
Yeah,
Right.
3D
Cars.
printed concrete extrusion.
Shoes.
3D printed shoes.
For someone looking to grow their business, what resources have you guys used to grow your business?
Social media, I think, is a really big thing for us.
What specifically with social media? What do you guys do to get things out?
We use a lot of Facebook, Twitter, a little bit of Instagram, but I think the best way is also referrals. I believe if you offer somebody a good customer service, if somebody's happy with a product, then they're gonna be referring you to other people that might be interested in the same product, and I think that's the most powerful tool besides social media.
Things like that.
Back to the marriage question. How do you guys have two successful companies, we'll say, right? One is the Maker Industries and one is the company of you guys being married. How do you guys kind of do both so that both are still positive and what you guys both want to have accomplish?
Definitely, it's a lot of work, a lot of patience, but I think the main thing is communication.
And really what we found is proper times to communicate, because there's family time and there's work time. You know, we have 2 small kids, 7 and 4, and they require a lot of attention, but you know, when we're working, we have to, you know, create those times where we have family time and play time and Sunday fun days, and you know, dinner time, we don't talk business or anything like that. So it's very important to kind of keep a little bit of schedule when you have a home-based relationship that is also working partners every day. So,
well, congrats on all your success so far, and much success in the future.
Awesome, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guys.
Hi, this is Naoma Dorguzzi with AskNaoma.com, and today I want to talk about an app called Quality Time. It's kind of like a digital detox, digital diet, whatever you want to call it. But we are trying to handle so many things at once: social media, social networking, apps, phone calls, text messaging. It can get quite overwhelming. Well, this tool called Quality Time will help break down exactly what you're using your phone for, whether you're swiping to unlock, opening different apps, messaging, what you're using the most of. You can break it down by daily. You can even break it down by weekly. It'll give you great stats. But what's good about this too is you can also schedule yourself breaks. So if you try to open up that Facebook app, if you try and open messaging when you should be working and being productive, or even using that quality time with your family, you won't be able to. It'll ask you several times and you have to wait a minute before you can even log back into that. So it's forcing you to have that structured productivity time. Again, this is called Quality Time, and it's a free app that I use all the time to kind of structure and see how I'm using my time and being the most productive. If you have any questions, you can go to AskNaoma.com.
Welcome back. Let's dive back into my conversation with some of our local Inc. 5000 recipients. Next up is Scott Kale of Precision Door Services. Take a look.
Scott Kale with Precision Door Services in Virginia Beach. Your company recently was named in the Inc. 5000, which is a list of the fastest growing privately owned companies in the United States. And now you're Entrepreneur of the Week, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What was it like to be named on a list like that?
It feels pretty good, obviously. It's been a goal of mine for a few years, and the revenue mark, I've been trying to get there for a while, so it was nice to see that happen and get the little trophy on my desk. So.
Focus is so important for entrepreneurs. How do you focus on your customer, and then how do you get that to coincide with more revenue?
That's really the most important thing that we talk about all the time is the customer experience, and we are saying we want our customers to have the possible best experience that they could ever have, and contractors frequently disappoint people. So we think about the small things, like making sure that if we're running a few minutes late, we're calling you. We're calling you a couple of times before we get there. You might have to go to the bank and do something, and you're sitting there waiting for us and getting irritated because we're not there. So we try to stay in contact with the customers. We try to make sure that we are on time. We try to make sure that we're very clean inside the garage and leave things nice and neat when we're done, and really just focus on customer service all the time.
So you're based in Virginia Beach. How have you grown? How did you get where you are from the beginning to where you are now?
Well, it's a long story, but in 2008, I sold shares of a company that I was partners in called Norfolk Wire and Electronics, a great company. And I used that to purchase this existing company. But at the time, I was the only employee. And so I got in a truck and I literally started learning how to fix garage doors the first day. And I slowly built up. It felt like a frantic hurricane for a couple of years, but I slowly built up to eventually a dozen, 13, 14 employees, and grew the business up to what it is now. It's been a long road, but it's been good.
We were talking about reach earlier, and marketing, and getting your name out there, and some of the challenges and solutions that you've come up with related to promoting your business and making sure that people know what it is you do.
Yeah, so in 2008, when I started out, Yellow Pages was 60% of my business, and print advertising was 75% of my business. That's completely flip-flopped, and I track all of that, so I know what my return on investment is on all my campaigns, but I've watched Yellow Pages I've watched print media go from 75% down to about 18% of my business, and I've watched digital internet business go up to, I think right now it's at 47%. So it's a complete flip-flop, and you have to stay focused on the changes that Google makes and the changes that Bing makes, and you know, stay ahead of all those kind of things. It's pretty difficult to do.
Well, two, they tell you to focus and not worry about this other stuff. But I mean, in many businesses, you need to focus on what Google is doing and what advertising avenues are open and working, and they may be different from what they were a few years ago.
Yeah, and I have a marketing degree from Virginia Tech, and I love the marketing part of it. So I tell my guys, my job is to make the phones ring. My job is to get people calling us. Your job is to go out and impress them and do the right things. And so, you know, that's what I spend my time on most of the time. I really kind of sit there and you know, if I can get quiet time, I'll read ahead and look about, you know, read some blogs and see what's going on with Google, because they change every day, and you got to stay on top of that.
Any solutions for the rest of us if you figured out the marketing?
Hire the right people that know what they're doing, and don't be fooled by the "we're going to put you on page one" stuff. You know, find somebody, interview them, and look at their track record, see what they've actually done. If they won't show you the back end and they just kind of smoke and mirror sort of thing, stay away from it. But you know, once you get to a certain size, you can afford to hire somebody and do that kind of stuff in-house. That's all they do is focus on it. So, and do it yourself too, if you like that kind of thing. I do.
Right. Scott Kale, thanks very much. Congratulations. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
That's all for this week's Hampton Roads Business Weekly. You can find the show on Facebook and Twitter at HR Business Weekly or at hrbusinessweekly.com.
For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.
Hampton Roads Business Weekly, sponsored by Regent University and produced by ABC 13.